our Instagram viewers that are joining in. My name is Joe Perry. Your name is Scott Fitzsimons.
Still is.
Yeah, last time I checked anyway. And this is kind of our little weekly segment that's gone from Tuesday nights to Monday nights now to Thursday nights and every other night in between, where we shut the store, we sit down, we grab a few drinks that we're either really enjoying or haven't even tried, Instagram viewers, and we sort of that are joining in back and forth to one another, and about 20. Well, no, it was longer than that. About 30 odd weeks ago, we decided it'd be a good idea to bring you guys in for part of the fun. So that's what we're going to do tonight, as always, with another cocktail element, apparently.
Yes. Well, Joey, welcome. Not that I haven't seen you all day, but for the purposes of this, I do believe we're live on Facebook and YouTube. They might even be able to hear us on Facebook and YouTube. Would be a novel and rare treat. But we're getting to that point where every week when we come on here, we say it's been quite a week.
It has been quite a week. Yeah.
What's happened for you this week?
Well, I suppose before I break into my stuff, I know that a bit of credit has to go out to the very, very tired hands of our other staff members that work here in the store that aren't in Wine Presents, but are certainly been incredibly busy over the past couple of days with packing and calls and dealing with various delivery services throughout Australia.
Finding lost things around the country.
Yeah, I know they have certainly earned their beer or their glass of wine tonight.
If you haven't figured out...
It's just me and you kind of making their lives even harder.
Yeah. If you haven't figured this out, this is basically what happens is Joey and Scotty drink and have fun and talk rubbish. And there's other people that do real work here at the Oak Barrel. So that's quite a weird and unusual thing for that to happen.
Yeah, there's always that sort of point now where another tasting or now virtual tasting goes online, which usually involves, between sort of 30 to 60 or 70 deliveries that need to be orchestrated and tracked and made sure that things arrive when they do at a certain point in time. And Scott and I have gotten pretty good at passing that responsibility off to our other staff members. And
I'm excellent at the old hand pass of responsibility.
I know that's made for some very interesting mornings and afternoons here at the Oak Barrel in the past couple of weeks. So we love them, we do.
Yeah. Joey, what have you been up to this week apart from that?
Sort of going off the back of that, really enjoying not only the virtual content that we've been putting out, but the virtual content that the industry as a whole has been putting out. And luckily, I've been able to jump on board with that. So we've got the Sherry night coming up next week, which I'm really excited about. So those deliveries all went out this week. That's took up a lot of my time. Then we've got Burgundy the week after. Then we're doing an introduction to Tokai, the Hungarian beverage, both sweet and dry, which is going to be really fun. So really just a lot of back and forth. We're lucky to have the Hungarian consulate involved with that tasting, which is really fun, and just being confirmed that representatives from each winery are going to be tuning in on the Zoom chat for that as well, which is really exciting.
The bit that worries me about all of this is by the Hungarian consulate, being involved and coming into a Zoom chat for a Tokay tasting sort of legitimizes what we're doing here.
Yeah.
Which means we better polish this up.
I might have to find a button-up shirt out of somewhere or something like that just to go live. But I don't know. Outside of that, we obviously had our yearly allocation of Prairie Rock land today, which almost pretty much came and went. There's a few straggly bottles sitting there, but
that's wine for expensive Prairie Rock.
That is, Henri Rock, who has since passed away, was essentially co-owning Domaine della Rimini Conti and had his own winery and winemaking project on the side. So probably some of the rarest vineyards that I would be pleasured to even see. Sometimes I'll just go home and I'll look at photos of La Tâche and Louis Saint George and those sorts of vineyards. But yeah, we've got some wine in here which is sitting pretty. A couple of vintages now, which I'm really excited about.
So as we go through tonight, Joey, I might take care of the Facebook interactions, if you can take care of the Instagram interactions. And we do have Crafty Field, tuning in from the shed. So, g'day, Crafty. Says he's looking forward to the sherry tasting.
I did see that. I did see Crafty booked in a ticket. So yeah, hopefully, maybe we'll just convert him.
Yep.
Distiller to fortified wine.
I think he's already a bit of a fortified purist. And to Denny O'Wyds, and if Christian is listening as well, g'day to you guys.
And also a quick g'day to Kara's Rum Quest, who I did see tune in to the plantation night we had last night, which I was watching as well, which was unbelievable.
We had a lot of fun last night.
That was special. And
it's a good segue to actually lead into the theme for tonight, because we did have Alexandra Gabriel from the plantation Maison Verand Houses tuning in from Cognac in his AM for our PM, and we drank a lot of rum, had a lot of fun, which is always very, very good. But we sort of, as we were going through, we sort of came up with a bit of a plan. Now, I'm a lover of language. I don't know too many others apart from English, so I love that one quite a bit. And one of my favourite words is being thrown around quite a lot by many people in the media, in general production. I don't want to say the word because I feel like the word's losing a little bit of its gravitas and its nous. But just an off sort of offhanded sort of comment here. When we're talking about car racings, I am very unlikely to preview any cars in case there's an incident and anything has a dent in it. If you want to sort of put a few of those words together, dent. So anyway, so long story short is basically we're killing that word and we're replacing it with daiquiri. So yes, we are living in daiquiri times, and some of the things we've had to do as businesses are very daiquiri around here. And having put that up on my social media last night after the tasting, got home and my housemate was very, very excited at the potential possibility of, drinking daiquiris all weekend. And I was
it's not a bad weekend.
No, and I was like, yeah, bloody oath, let's do that. Without realising that I do not know how to make a daiquiri or a cocktail in my life. That's why I pay bartenders money to do it, and I don't really want to learn how to do it, but in these daiquiri times I think I might need to.
But yeah, and to be fair, like now, we are lucky enough to be surrounded with enough, good cocktail bars where you can walk in and order a daiquiri and get what I think is a daiquiri, and I'm sure what you think is a daiquiri. But there mightn't be a drink more bastardized than the daiquiri.
And
to be fair, there were times where you would walk into a bar that would have a pages and pages full of daiquiris that involve various syrups and infusions and anything else, juices and blending and pouring into obscurely large vessels, which I perfectly enjoyed as well, but it always made you think, like, is it a daiquiri? I don't know.
I mean, do we, in these daiquiri times, we don't even know what a daiquiri is anymore?
Well, like, a daiquiri is just a glimmer of hope, really, at this point in time.
It's sunrise on the horizon.
Yeah, I just flipped us around.
Well done,
how did
Joey.
I do that?
Well done. He's done good with that. I give him one job, the Instagram.
Why is it up there? Okay.
All right, so just like we did a couple of weeks ago when Joey has the unenviable task of trying to teach me how to make a martini, Joey now has the very unenviable task of trying to teach me how to make a daiquiri. So what we've done, we've grabbed a few things together from what we could find around the store and the IGA next door. So rum, I have white rum. I did drink all of the Plantation 3 stars last night, so onto the... Joey, you are bloody useless.
Sorry to everyone joining. I'm trying to wave at everybody, but if you jump in, we see you, and we before I break it again.
You give a millennial one job, and you think they're not going to get it wrong. It's bloody Instagram, and there you go. So we've gone for what I also have lying around, the Diplomatico Planus. I gave Joey some sugar and some limes, and he did some things about 10 minutes ago, and I don't know what to do next. Bartenders, look
right.
away now.
Yeah.
Please just look away now.
Yeah. Should we just whip some up?
Let's just do it, mate. I'm thirsty. Let's go for it.
So obviously you grab your...
A vessel of some sort.
Very bronze cocktail shaker. Yep.
Yep. That'll do for now.
And then I'm gonna struggle to do this on screen, so I might just.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'll keep. Can I just start drinking white rum?
Yeah.
I'll do that.
What we've got here is 1-to-1 sugar syrup. So it's essentially just an equal ratio of white sugar to water. Which is, I think we did 60 grams of sugar to 60 ml of boiling water, stirred it down and infused it for there. So for Scott and myself, we're going to do 2 daiquiris. Specs are probably a different conversation. I mean, I like sort of about a 15 ml sugar pour. I'm not a big fan of sweet drinks. So yeah, I just like probably about 15 ml worth of sugar syrup, which I'm gonna pour in right now, so 30 ml in total for 2 drinks.
Yeah, so just for those playing at home, 30 mils plus 30 mils equals 60 mils. That's just in case maths isn't your strong suit.
Yeah, but we're doing 15 ml plus 15 ml equals 30 ml.
Oh, and actually I was going to talk about this rum, but I can see Cy Merchant is in the Facebook chat, so I'm not going to say anything because I'm going to get it wrong.
And then I like very citrus forward drinks, as I know you do as well.
Always.
So after the 15 ml worth of 1-to-1 sugar syrup, we're going to do 30 ml per drink of freshly squeezed lime juice, which was squeezed about 5 minutes ago in the back kitchen, and then rushed out here. So to the spec.
Into a Glencairn glass.
Into a Glencairn glass, and then into a cocktail shaker. And then from there, I guess what the spec would be 0.51 to 2. So then from there you're going to take 15 ml of sugar syrup, 30 ml of lime juice, 60 ml of white rum to finish the drink off.
But this is a 700 ml bottle, so should we just do 350 mls each?
Yeah, we should just pour that.
Yeah, fair enough. That's done. Just shake it about.
So we're going to do a grand total of 120 ml into these drinks here.
So if you can't see it at home, the rum we're using is the Diplomatico Planas, which is a white rum. I think it's about on average about 5 years old and then filtered to get the colour out. But you probably can't see it there, but it actually does have a slight yellowy tinge from the oak because you're never going to get it back to that neutral off the still spirit colour. But one of my favourite white rums because it just has that creaminess, that elegance that you get from from aging, but with a rum that essentially needs to be clear to make sense in the cocktails.
And
so
fill it full of ice.
Joe's going to fill it full of ice, which is again something he's very, very capable of. So yeah, one of my favourites. We've done a lot with Diplomatico over the years. The Reserva Exclusiva. We've got people coming in here. Reserva Exclusiva, probably our biggest selling rum of across the past 5 years here at the Oak Barrel. But I mean, this is something that I just drink neat, to be honest. I drink all my rums neat because normally there's a whole bunch of bars that I can go to and pay people far better and smarter than me to make these excellent drinks. So while we do encourage you to do this at home for now and buy all this sort of stuff, as soon as establishments are open again, we encourage you to go straight back there. But I think this is not so much a lesson in this is going to be a great daiquiri, but more a lesson in if we can do it, you can do it as well. And I think that's the most important thing.
Correct.
Joey's got and yelled at someone on the street and found some ice.
I mean, we have a really big clothesline. Really nervous. Yeah. So yeah, obviously shake full of ice, and then nice hard shake.
You can shake harder. Go harder. Someone said send it before. Send it, Joey. Send it.
That'll do.
Quality content, that.
It's pretty cold.
Just quality content. So we're shaking this to make the drink colder, but also to dilute it a little bit.
A little bit, yeah. Obviously, being cold is the first thing, but you do all of those things together, especially things like citrus, which has quite a textural element towards it. You really want to get those ingredients working together.
And now I know you're meant to be monitoring the Instagram comments, but I'm just seeing the shake face from Kathleen
Yeah,
Davies.
it's always a good one. And then strain it out. Probably double strain. We don't have a double strain at the ready, but I always like those kind of like those really like small flecks of ice in my daiquiri. It's just that gives that like refreshing feel towards it.
Like a Cantina OK margarita.
Ah, mate, what I would do for one of them right now.
Yeah, or two.
Yes, that's anyway how I do a daiquiri.
So yeah, we do apologise for everyone who considers himself an expert in this, because we are very much but I think and this is one of the things. So when my housemate was like, "Okay, we're going to make daiquiris," I was like, "Yeah, sure, we can do that." And then she was like, "What flavour?" I sort of said, "Rum flavour." But apparently there's strawberry ones and this sort of thing. But for me, the best daiquiris are always the ones made with excellent juice. And I think, what did we say? How many mils of this did you go?
60.
60, but it's also 47% as well, which is what I find as much with martinis and sort of like drinks like this that are pretty simple to make, but dominant on the spirit in them. If you just bring up that ABV, keep the ratios the same, you actually get more flavour and more texture coming through. So,
yeah,
smells like a daiquiri.
Yeah, it's good.
Well done.
Citrus and I mean, for me, obviously, sort of cut the. I reckon your phone mic might be a bit funny. Might need to just going to adjust that very quickly. But for me, sort of cutting my hospitality teeth over in the UK, the daiquiri, and it is a little bit here, but it's always the sort of the unwritten bartender's handshake. Of like, outside of having a shot of Fernet or something like that, you always sort of wander in and it's always just a daiquiri straight off the bat. It might be a snackery, which is half the size.
What about a stackery, which is daiquiri stacked?
Daiquiri stacked.
Which I've definitely seen happen at bars around Sydney, and I've definitely seen a lot of very pretty glassware donated to the gods of the stackery. Yeah.
But I think, like you said, I think it's always the rum that makes this sort of drink.
Yeah.
As it is with any sour-based drink. I mean, whiskey sours are always better with better, cocktail whiskies of sorts.
Always, if in doubt, always use a better spirit. And I think what you get from like this, so like if using a rum like the Diplomatico Planus, not only are you getting that flavour, but 47%, you're also physically getting more booze in it. This you can have one of, and feel pretty content. I have had daiquiris in the past that go down like cordial, and you go, "Yep, okay, that was cool," but where's the flavour? Where's the intensity?
That's the thing I'm always really conscious of, as well as I think drinking that 3-star plantation last night, I would probably even lessen the amount of sugar I'd use, just because it had a bit more of a richer kind of oilier feel on the mouth, whereas this is a little bit more driven. So I think that sort of 15 to 20 ml sugar mark works really well. But I want my daiquiris to be like a citrus forward sort of element. Yeah.
Well, let's be honest. I'm drinking daiquiri to drink rum. I'm not drinking daiquiris to drink sugar. And I love lime, but I love lime in my rum and in my gin and in those sorts of things. Quick shout out to big bad bustling Bazamelia. Baramelia's on the Facebook there, who had a very good day apparently at his brother's wedding with on the strawberry daiquiris. And he says, and this is a quote, "Never had an empty hand that night." Barry, that's how we like to see it.
That's a good way to do it.
And it was, because I reckon if you Googled, just daiquiri or daiquiri recipe, you would get more results for the strawberry daiquiri than you would
just about
a standard one.
Yeah.
And I don't know what is in that, but I assume you just mash some strawberries up and throw them in.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit more crushed, but
you'll also get more likes on your Instagram photo.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Well, this is not a particularly attractive beverage. Like, this isn't a daiquiri glass, obviously, but
tastes pretty good though. I'll drink this. I guess the other thing is, I don't need Instagram likes on my photos. I don't think a strawberry daiquiri is going to fix the amount of Instagram likes on my photos. I think there's some other key things that are not going to bring that up. But no, thank you, Joey. And there's a few more people, to Karina, to Seamus, people jumping in on the Facebook stream there. If we can do it, then you can certainly do it. And if there are any bartenders out there watching tonight, we do apologise again profusely. And we love you and we miss you. And we hope for you to be doing this better than us again soon. It's been interesting, actually, and this might be letting in a little bit of my psyche here today. And Joe, I mentioned this earlier today to you. I had my first dream, and normally my dreams revolve around work. So it's about, what are we in? Almost May. My dreams start to become about Whiskey Fair and just like Whiskey Fair disasters. Like, rocking up to Whiskey Fair the day of, and there's a line up the street waiting to get in, but you forgot to invite any exhibitors and you realise you're wearing no pants. Like those sorts of dreams. I had my first dream last night where the bars opened again, but for some weird reason they were all opening at like 7 a.m. So I was just walking down this street, going from bar to bar with a shot of Jameson and a Pinot Noir in each bar, and I sort of felt a little bit guilty, like I needed to go to every one before the store opened at 11 o'clock. So I just remember sort of waking up, going, "Ooh, yeah, okay." I'm going to be a bit drunk to get to work, and then realised I was still in bed. So that's a little bit of look into my psyche and how things work in my head. But to be fair, it's probably exactly what's like. As soon as they open again, I'm going to be there at 7:30 a.m.
Yeah. I'm definitely sort of feeling the same way. It's sort of getting to that Thursday night now where you start sort of looking at, weekends coming around. Like, all right, start planning my Saturday. And you kind of go, Well, that's only 2 more days until I get to come back and do all this again.
Yeah.
So.
Matt Bailey from the Scotch Malt Whisky Society says he has Champs Nightmares, so that's their big biannual Scotch Malt Whisky Tasting Championships, which are not happening this year. They're going to happen next year. He has these Champs Nightmares for a good 2 months leading in, which I can relate to that. And Charlie Ainsbury says, all good so far, guys, which is it's a bit of an alpha move because Charlie Ainsbury is quite a proficient bartender and drink maker. So I think like the all good is just sort of we like, okay guys, like nice effort. I think that was the equivalent.
Definitely made me a better daiquiri than this.
Yeah, that's like most improved award. I think that one is. So they're like nice effort there. But yeah, thank you. We'll take what we can get. To be fair.
Whiskeyography comes through on Instagram and says, "Is that a hint about Whiskey Fair 2020? No pants." You probably didn't stick around long enough for Whiskey Fair 2019.
Yeah, has there been a Whiskey Fair with pants? Maybe. If I start having dreams about whiskey fairs with pants, we might be in a little bit of trouble there. I think that'll change the vibe a little bit.
Also, g'day to everyone joining us on Instagram and Facebook alike. I can't hit the wave button anymore because I break Instagram otherwise.
Yeah, so that's just what it is. Joey, you just stuff that up. That's sort of the theme of tonight is in these daiquiri times. Now at least I know how to make a half decent one.
I think it's like that's what I love about the daiquiri and these types of drinks is that they're not overly complicated to get the ingredients in front of you. I think
no, and so okay,
you can it's just almost like a Negroni, and like we've mentioned a few times, a lot of people coming in, asking for Negroni ingredients because they want to make it at home because it's quite easy to do. Yeah. And if you get it wrong, it's sort of in one way or the other, but you're never really going to know. Like if you're batching one of these up with freezer ice and all the rest. I just think it's like run down the shop, grab some limes. There's probably sugar in the cupboard somewhere, and then a good bottle of white rum. You're halfway there.
Yeah. I think I just saw a comment from Haswell and Lightfoot, which is a winery I absolutely love.
Back there ones a lot.
Yeah, so can you get on the bloody Instagram and start reading out these comments?
Do some. Jesus.
Like, as a boomer, I just think these millennials need to work a little bit harder.
G'day to Haswell and Lightfoot. Love your work, obviously.
Yeah. But it's a good point because really the only thing you need at home to make a daiquiri is the white rum, right? Everything else, like you should have sugar at home, you have a tap or you have a kettle. And when we were sort of talking about what the hell are we going to do tonight, I actually did put up a little Instagram story on my own Instagram and asked for recommendations, and I got a lot of recommendations, and I've ignored them all because I thought I was going to do this instead. So I went next door to the IGA and honestly said, I'm going to cheat. I just want some lime juice and I'll fake the sugar, basically. And they didn't have it, so they sort of forced my hand into actually buying real limes. But I mean, Joey, you just, if people want to make the easy route and they think making your own sugar syrup and your own lime juice is hard, it's really not. You cut it up and you just squeeze. Mm-hmm. And for sugar syrup, you just get boiling water and sugar.
Yep. Hopefully we're not putting any syrup making companies out of business here, but yeah.
No, but that's there you go. There's a trade secret.
Yeah.
From someone else's trade that I'm ruining. But no, that's a fantastic drink. But I think for me, it comes down to the rum.
Absolutely. I think and people will say bad or poorly made spirits in the style can often ruin really great drinks.
Yeah.
Like bad gins will ruin great Negronis.
Yeah, but I think that concept of fresh lime and your Woolies, bottle squeeze lime, that'll take an average or like a passable daiquiri into a good one.
Yeah.
And obviously, if you are at a real bar, you would expect, fresh squeezed lime. And that's why they're expensive, because the bastards are quite expensive. I think we used, $4 for what we did tonight, so there's $4 already, pretty much gone.
Yeah.
But if you're at home and, you don't have the ingredients, you will have sugar. You can pass with lime juice, but there's fresh lime and, the best sugar syrup you make would not turn an average rum into a world-class
No,
daiquiri, but a world-class rum, will drag all the other ingredients up.
Yeah. And we have actually had a few comments come through on the, noting to maybe try different sugars, and also what types of sugars. I feel like it might almost be just like a kind of a really cut and dry rule for me when making cocktails, but white spirits, white sugars, dark spirits, dark sugars. So I enjoy my rum and my whiskey cocktails with more Demerara sugar based syrups, and I enjoy my gin and vodka and white rum based cocktails off white caster sugar. I don't know too much about sugar quality, but
Can we do an after hours exclusively on sugar?
well,
We're definitely not sweet enough.
Yeah.
We can definitely get away with it.
I've always been really interested in the way that certain syrups, how they're portioned out, dilute drinks differently. So I've found simple syrup or 1-to-1 syrup to increase dilution more than, say, a 2-to-1 syrup or a 1.5-to-1 syrup. And so for some drinks, you're kind of using obviously less syrup with the higher amount of sugar that's in that syrup, but it will cause more of a viscous element towards it. So for things like old fashions and Manhattans, I like quite well, not for Manhattans obviously, but for old fashions, I like quite a heavy sugar syrup.
Yep.
To sort of eliminate the level of dilution.
Yep. So yeah. I mean, we're getting into proper PS40 territory now. But Fee Campbell had a good question. What is a world-class rum? And I sort of threw that out quite flippantly, that comment. But I just think like a really good rum. And so we're using a white rum that is actually, and in Australia, rum needs to be a minimum of 2 years in oak to be called a rum. There is no such thing as a 1-year-old rum. So when it's in oak, the oak's giving colour. So if you want a white rum in Australia, you need to get it over 2 years and then drag the colour out. Which seems insane because colour is such a, great attribute for, marketing and retailing and all that sort of stuff. But if you make a daiquiri and it doesn't turn out like this and it turns out cloudy and served at a bar, that's a bit of a tough thing to do. So for me, a world-class rum is something that goes, and it goes for all spirits, something that goes above and beyond. As I sort of said at the start, you probably can't see here, but there is a slight tinge. Maybe if I do it that way, you can see a slight tinge. It's not entirely clear because this is, about, I think it's up to about 8 years old, but an average over about 5 years old rums. They actually strip the colour out through charcoal filtering to create that flavour, but then to have a rum that works in these sort of white rum cocktails. And also being at 47% alcohol, they haven't, you can make a lot more and sell it for a lot less and pay a lot less tax if it's 40% or 37.5%. So for me, this is a rum that even before you taste it, the label tells you that someone is caring about this. It goes 47% alcohol. There's a lot of flavour in here. That for me is the sign of a world-class rum. Obviously, then you hopefully get a chance to try it and see what it does. But certainly for me, that is that's a good first step to something that's going to make a really, really good cocktail. And as Matt Bailey says, the best ingredients make the best cocktails. Same with everything. Yeah. Same with cooking, building. Literally everything in life. If something is shit, what you make out of it's probably going to be reasonably shit as well. If something's good, it's going to be good at the end. Literally everything else. Alrighty, so we are in these daiquiri times, and we are doing drinking daiquiris.
Well, how was your week, Scott? I'm going to ask you about your week, actually.
My week's been excellent. I feel like I'm a little bit back in the days when I had my first job at 14 and 9 months, worked at Macca's. North Parramatta Macca's was 24-hour Macca's and had the near Parramatta Stadium. So used to have the footy rushes when the Eels were playing at home. And I used to dread weekends because, go to school, a little bit chill, hang out with your friends, go home at 3 p.m. and then work at a 24-hour Macca's from Friday through to Monday. So that sucked. So I'm dreading a little bit the weekends at the moment just because there's nothing to do, and I know that's a little bit flippant of me because I'm lucky enough to have a job, but I'm loving being at work and having the challenge and trying to help, companies that maybe were very on-premise focused and need a little bit of stuff to come through. So enjoying that sort of stuff. But like last night was a real high for me. Having Alexandra Gabriel, jump in for the plantation rum tasting was really, really special. Particularly considering we haven't been able to get him in the last couple of years. He is so in demand for tastings, and so particularly in the on-premise world. I know you throw an invite out to the Bartenders of Sydney saying, hey, there's a training, but they inevitably fall outside of work hours, so you need to get your life, and you might RSVP, and you might get a 50% hit rate or whatever. And then when you do a Alexandra Gabriel tasting, and you get every bartender in the country RSVP, and they all rock up. Yeah. And Burrow Bar's not that big of a place, so, so he just gets dragged from bar to bar, which is totally understand. It's great. So it was really awesome to have him, on an oak barrel stream. Hopefully when all this is done and he's next over, we'll have an oak barrel room.
Do you think something that I thought was quite interesting about last night, just tuning in from the back room there and following along with drums in my hand, but I felt as though he obviously does a lot of trade-based events, whereas I think what happened last night was a lot of maybe non-trade consumers that were just pure rum lovers that also were quite excited to just see him, tasting along with them and stuff like that. That to me felt really cool.
And I did. I think he loved. There was some great questions from the crowd from across the social medias in the Zoom chat and things, where people would say, look, honestly, I'm looking for someone to do it. I've never tried a plantation rum before. This is my first rum tasting, and to be honest, there was a few people that said, this is my first rum out of rum and cokes and that sort of stuff. And I think he loved that, being like, I'm not preaching to the converted, trying to get rum drinkers across to my side. I'm preaching to the whole market.
That was awesome.
I think Paul Leyland sort of sums it up there. It's last night was epic. So much passion for his product, and it was that enthusiasm is infectious.
Yeah,
and I think everyone was just sitting there. I know I was sitting there with a shit-eating grin on my face. That's why it was get me off screen as much as possible, because it was just so much fun, and hopefully your Hungarians are as exciting as he is.
Yeah, that's going to be very exciting. I can't wait for that. I mean, I think that obviously we've reached out from like an Australian base and gone, hey guys, look, we're a really small bottle store here in Australia. We're in lockdown just like everybody else, but what we want to do is we want to get 10, 50, 100, whatever people into a chat, and we're gonna pour Tokai. And they've just gone, you're gonna do what? I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna mail everybody out a couple of bottles of Tokai. We're gonna taste along and get in, and look, if you can find a free 15 minutes just to jump in and say g'day and probably tell us more than we know, that'd be really fun. And they're just over the moon about it, and they were just like, yes, absolutely, we're going to bring all the bells and whistles, and yeah, it was great.
I've just done a quick Google there just to get my exact facts straight, and so the Hungarian language is spoken by 99.9% of the Hungarian population.
So yeah, actually a Hungarian friend of mine, like a few people in that sort of Eastern European area, say that Hungarian is the oldest language on earth. But I've also heard the same thing about Estonian and Latvian.
How much Hungarian do you know?
Well,
or is this why we have our friend from the Trade Commission Embassy on our side?
I know a little bit about Hungarian wine, but I don't know the Hungarian language as a start. But Freddie Mate joins in and says, love the shirt.
I think he's probably talking about yours.
Hopefully he's talking about. I love both the shirts, so that's good. Yeah. And Phil Brooks says he really believed in what he had. That's what really resonated with me, was that hour and 45 minutes went like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Like listening along to that.
And you could tell that there was people around him on the office going, Alexandra, there's shit to do today. It might be 9 o'clock in Sydney, but it's bloody 11 a.m. here. We got to do some work. So, we could have just gone on for hours there, I think. I'm enjoying this, but shall we move on to? I think we've got a wine lined up for tonight. Yep. Then we've got. I want to do a whiskey as well, and I've also got a whole bottle of white rum that we need to finish off. So shall we? And I'm almost done. So
Yeah.
Actually, what beer are you drinking?
This is actually, obviously, you got to stay true to the homeland, but from Chur Brewing, which I believe is Behemoth in New Zealand. But they are based out of Auckland, Mount Eden, which is my sort of hometown there, and they have done a passion fruit sour ale. Now, I'm not particularly well educated in beers, but this tastes pretty good.
Does it taste like a sour passion fruit ale?
Yeah, it's got a lot of passion fruit and it's quite sour. So.
Man, bing, tick, done, sorted.
Maybe I need to change industries because they just write what it tastes like on the front. Wine and whiskey are quite hard.
Yeah, it's like creamy and good.
Yeah.
The Diplomatico creamy and good. So
yeah, but when I see something called like a coconut butterscotch stout, probably got a lot of coconut and butterscotch in there.
Yeah, maybe like get back to Craftworks.
And the artwork's just better as well.
Instead of Grumpy Man on a Hill, Smoky Malty.
Yeah, that was great.
It's okay, get rid of that name. Just go Marmalade Jam Whiskey.
Love it.
Do you want to go grab a wine? Because I can't see one. Or
yes.
do you want to do a whiskey first?
The wine is pretty exotic.
No, let's do that first.
Do the wine first? All right.
The whiskey's pretty big. So, we are staying pretty local, I believe, if what you said we are going to do earlier is still what we're going to do.
Right, yeah.
Just down the road, we're going to a winery that I have, quite enjoyed for many a year, and I think they've just updated their labels.
They have, yeah.
And the labels are looking really good. So, lucky we're here with vision and sound. Exotic local wine, yes, I agree.
Exotic local wine, yeah.
Yeah.
Which is, I wouldn't say, not exactly a name that you don't walk into a bottle store and go, oh, give me some of that crazy, Ravensworth stuff, which is what we're going to try tonight, which is from Murrumbateman down in Murrumbateman, Canberra district, just north of Canberra. So this is the Ravensworth Estate 7 months. So I'll just kind of give Instagram a little look. And team at home? Oh, we're a bit behind on Facebook.
We're behind on Facebook. It's delay. We'll get there.
But this wine was a bit of a revelation for me last year, or actually the year before, I think it was. Trying this because I've always adored the wines from Ravensworth.
We love you, Haspel Nightfoot. See you later.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I've always adored the wines of Ravensworth, and I think it was last week. I think we were talking about what wines would you cellar if you had to start again today.
Yes,
and I went Canberra district straight away. Not because I think they're wines that are gonna quadruple or quintuple in value anytime soon, but just because they're wines that they're just super expressive and they are unbelievably good for the money that are made. And I think that you've got the wines from Tim Kirk at Clonakilla, where Brian also works at, and then you have things from Sam Leishorn at Melaleuca, Nico Leary out of Canberra as well, I think. Collector, Lark Hill, one of the most famous biodynamic vineyards in Australia. Just some outstanding wines. But it would be maybe once or maybe twice a month someone walks in and goes, do you have any Canberra wine?
It's about the same ratio as Gundagai.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Hilltops or something like that, where they're incredible wines, and they're incredibly underrated, or not even underrated, but undiscovered, I would say.
Yeah.
More so, they're rated incredibly highly, but people will gravitate towards the Hunter Valley or the Barossa or Margaret River or Yarra Valley, where there is also quality wine, but at least tends to jump up a price caliber. So I really enjoy selling Brian's wines here in the store. This is going to be our first look at the 2019 version of 7 months.
Have you tried this?
No.
Ooh, here we go.
I haven't.
I love a live first impression.
So 7 months is what I kind of discovered 2 years ago when I knew of Brian through his time at Clonakilla, and I knew about his project Ravensworth, and I tried his straight Sangiovese, I tried his straight Riesling, I tried his Shiraz Viognier blends, which are outstanding, really, really good. really balanced, really textural, but not crazy. They weren't crazy wines. They were really well made wines with like a lovely precision. And I always thought, wow, yeah, these are the wines that I'm really proud to have in the store, and they're ones that I'm looking forward to visiting again in a few years, and that kind of thing. And then 7 months came in front of me, and I was kind of like, oh, okay, this is like I haven't seen this one from him before. Exactly. Whiskeyography. How lucky are we? If God didn't want us to drink, why did he just surround us with great vineyards and distilleries? Well, he did. So, and no one's heard a lot of these guys, the world hasn't quite caught on to yet.
Yeah.
So it's very good. But 7 months sort of came into the path, and I wasn't particularly familiar with it, but I knew it was a white blend, but it is like a skin contact white blend with the same varietal makeup as one of our favourite wines from Orange, which is Tom Wars 003.
Really?
So this is Pinot Gris, Gewürztraminer, and Riesling. Called 7 months, quite, upfrontly about the fact that it spends 7 months in an Italian concrete vessel on skins there. So yeah, you can probably see.
If you put on the black of the shirt, you can actually see that colour quite vividly.
How rich it is. And then a further 5 months in amphora before being bottled, and this was bottled in February this year.
Mm-hmm.
And when I 2 years ago when I first saw it, I was like, whoa, this is this Ravensworth wine? Because it's kind of out there, but it's still got that kind of very characteristic obscure balance to it.
And I think, okay, let's row back about 26 episodes
now,
because the very first wine we did was 003. And even though the 003 we did last year was quite that's what the fourth or fifth, sixth version of it.
Yeah.
But when 003 first came out, it was a bit of a thing as well for Tom Ward, being like, I know the wines you make, but okay, this is brand new. We don't. What is an orange wine? And 6 years ago, that's quite a big question to ask. So very similar thing, and I love the fact of there's being there's winemaking involved, there's expertise, there's experience is probably the main thing. They know how to make good wines, been doing it for years, and so they wouldn't release something that they weren't confident in.
Yeah, and I think that's I think why I found myself gravitating towards these wines is because, on paper they just sound so out there, so crazy, so intricate. But I look at Swinging Bridge and I think, okay, here's Swinging Bridge in a more commercial, commercial style of winemaking, and then there's the 003 series or the 00 series, which is quite out there, and then you sort of look at Ravensworth, but they're kind of a little bit closer to the middle.
Yep.
Where the Sangiovese is good, but it's exceptional. It's still got that really wild feel towards it, with still an exceptional balance, and this 7 months is crazy and out there and skin fermented, but I probably wouldn't it's not as cloudy as the 003. It's probably not as exuberant as the 003, but it still represents what a co-fermented orange wine does very well. Yeah.
So you've been doing a lot of talking, haven't had a chance to drink this, so the bloke who definitely isn't the wine expert might give his initial thoughts here and that you have a chance to sit on this. But the nose is that, for me, that big plush tropical fruits, a bit of mango, but lots of passion fruit and that sort of thing. I'm on the and just sort of luring you in. Summer day in the parks and beaches we're not allowed to go to, that sort of thing, with and food wise, a bit of everything, with cheese, with the cold meats, with the the salad sandwich you put together. The palate for me has that, and as we've gone through these, we've I think sort of realised what I consider that sort of zip or that spritz can sometimes be just that acid that what you get it and you explain it better than me, but I see it as zip and up and go. But yes, there's a fair bit of bright acid, particularly on the mid palate. Sort of medium-ish finish, but super moreish.
Yeah, and it's got this thing that I adore in orange wines. I really, really love it, but it can be quite divisive for a lot of people, which is that kind of almost umami soy sauce thing that runs through the middle.
Okay,
which I just I can't get enough of because I love that sort of really savoury mid palate. But like you said,
it's definitely not sweet, is it?
And something that kind of puts me off wines that could be made in this style is that they could be massive fruit bombs, and it can just be all tropical fruit, it can be all mango, it can be all pawpaw and guava and all the rest, and then it just kind of falls away. But this is like really structured, really textural, and like better than last year's in my opinion, just off the initial kind of thoughts.
Yeah, okay. I didn't try last year's. I tried some of the other stuff. I didn't try last year's.
But like, I just love that. I love that kind of, obviously he's committed to the whole 7 months thing, and then the further 5 months again in Amphora. It just kind of like you said, it's so they know what they're doing, and these wines are all unfiltered, well ferment. So it's that. I think it's that experience, that knowledge. Just kind of go, just let it go. Let's see what happens, sort of thing. And I haven't had a bad one yet, but they're definitely wines that I would say kind of bridge the entry level to the kind of wild and wacky. Yep. They're almost that intermediate orange wine. Summer Wasting says, I remember my first 003, it was a mouse bomb. Actually brown, I was too stupid to realise and just thought it didn't like orange wine as much as I thought I should. Second was the same colour as Brian's. Yeah, and that's like, mouse is a problem in a lot of wines, but especially in orange wine when you're dealing with a variety of factors. And I kind of like the point of, going, well, not that you were too stupid to realise, but thinking that, a lot of these wines can, be quite mousy, and
but they're a culture shock for a lot of people.
Yeah, they are, but no, I don't think anyone sets out to make a mousy wine or release a mousy wine. But I think that's what we say quite often is sort of go with your gut. And if you think a wine is not to your liking or is quite faulty, I would just put up my hand and go, I don't know if this is right. Like I do it quite often with a lot of winemakers, and kind of go, do you want to check it? And they go, oh, that's really bready. Yeah, okay. So let's open another bottle. Let's have a look, and then it goes back to them and whatever. But no one sets out to make wine to displease people.
Yeah, and that's it's better to do that than sort of just like smile and grin your way through it, and then not buy the wine, and they're wondering why this wine that everyone else loves, you're not no interest in.
And to answer whiskerography, did Joey just say they use wild yeast? I'm quite certain they do. Yep.
I love the label. When you said, actually, we're going to do the new Ravensworth that arrived, I went looking for them for a little while, couldn't find them until I realised I'd updated their labels. But something that I know that I'm quite interested in. Mm-hmm. There's a little bit of Latin on here.
Yep.
So do you know the Latin?
I don't know the Latin, but I know the story of the label. It mightn't explain the Latin.
So there's three Latin words here: cutis, contactus, vinum. So I think there's probably two of those words we can probably figure out.
Yeah.
Vinum obviously is vinum, but until the Greeks got involved, the Romans had no pronunciation of a V. So any V you see in Latin is a W sound. So vinum, that's where we get the word vinus, wine, from. Contactus.
Contact.
I reckon, it's going to be two to come to. And cutis.
Cutis? Might be skin?
Something to do with skin, I reckon. Yeah. Or like a true source or something like that, I think it might mean. Because nothing is ever a direct correlation. But I saw that and I was like, yes, let's get into that.
But it's just such a cool. I kind of like all of his wines, and obviously with the new release, I was looking through Instagram and studying the website quite hard, and again, we talk a lot about the farming. And I think I'm going to jump on here so I get it verbatim because it's quite... And
I actually did a bit of an interview earlier today with some people down in Victoria, Josh Walker from the Timboon Distillery, and Simon Schultz from Schultz Organic Dairy, who have actually been practicing biodynamic since about 1976, purely to raise cows and make biodynamic milk and cheese and feta and that sort of stuff, and had a really good chat to them about the impact that the closures of essentially the Great Ocean Road, the Apostles down there, what that's done, essentially turned off their business. And obviously Josh and Timboon can sell bottles of whiskey and e-commerce, but how do you sell ice cream and milk via e-commerce and try and send it around the country? So had a really good chat to those guys today, and hopefully they're doing all right, and hopefully this turns around sooner rather than later, so we can all get out there and start supporting all the regional areas and all the farmers that we need 3 times a day minimum. I need them 5 times a day because I go out drinking after dinner. and yeah, as soon as we can, we all said we would after the bushfires, and unfortunately, we are not able to do that right now. But yeah, we're definitely going to get out there and do that. But I found that quite interesting when we were talking about, because we talked a lot about organic and biodynamic in these after hours episodes, but what that means, like here is someone who's making milk and they want to make and dairy products and going, I still think biodynamic and organic is a good thing to do just for the grass they're going to eat. You know, I think that for me was a bit going, okay, well, yeah, that's a really big call.
I got two things. First, a big g'day to Punt Road Wines. Has been fueling your game has been fueling Scotty and I for several weeks now.
Easter weekend wouldn't have existed without you guys. Game was unbelievable.
So yeah, unbelievable wines there. And also, I'm just gonna make sure I can read this out.
Yep. Right. So I was like, I read the last bit first, and I was like, okay, what? But yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose to summarise the Brian and the Ravensworth style of farming, it says basically getting the land back to what it was like before the white people came and fucked it up, which I kind of resonated with me a little bit after reading that, and I thought, yeah, well, to be fair, it's kind of one way to look at it.
And I'm definitely
I like that.
I'm definitely not an expert on this, and we're not going to talk a lot about this because we're definitely not experts.
No.
But basically, like Australia before, the arrival of Cook, the indigenous population, they did have fire, and obviously they were nomadic, and so they're actually like revitalising the land, and so people sort of think sometimes that the land was untouched before anything else happened. I was like, well, no. It was touched because they were burning bits down, but it was so big and there were so few people here that you could afford to let it go. So, it was a super fertile soil.
Yeah.
Which, in fact, just on this as well, a bit of trivia that I have. Where we are, we're in the middle of Sydney CBD here at the moment. But do you know towards Surrey Hills where the Rose is there? Yep. There's a street called Vine Street just off. I was trying to think of the main one. It's where Purple Sneakers headquarters used to be back in my music industry days. But there's Vine Street basically, but apparently that area, they tried to grow grapevines in early settlements. Complete disaster. Soil was completely wrong and all that sort of thing. But a bit of trivia for anyone playing at home. If you walk down Vine Street ever in Surrey Hills, you go, this is where grapes will not grow.
Yeah, right. I mean, you can say that about a lot of Surrey Hills, though.
Yeah, a quick and good question, a good comment from Big Bad Bustling Bazza on the Facebook here. The orange style of wines is called amber wines in Orange, just out west from us. So confusion doesn't happen with the town and orange wines, because which has happened before in town with Scotty and Joey going out for a drink.
It has, and it's happened to a different level, and I'm sure he probably wouldn't mind me saying this, but a very good friend of ours, Tony Zafarakos from Ari's Natural Wine, based down in Barrel.
Decent winemaker. Decent little winemaker.
Yeah, something that, if you come into the store, you'll most likely be shoved a bottle of his wine in front of your face at some point, if you're chatty enough. But obviously released a wine last year with the words orange across the label, and that was not allowed. So this year...
Right, okay.
So this year, very similar...
In fact, I can see it from here. Do you want to get an example of what... Not being able to put the word orange on the label, what he has done this year. And I'm just going.
This is one I drank the other night because
he's going under the table.
I love his wines. I love his wines. But yeah, so obviously there was a bit of a dispute over the term orange. You're not allowed to use the term on a bottle of wine if the grapes haven't originated from the region of Orange. So he wasn't allowed to put orange on his label this year, which it was like last year. So that's kind of what we're looking at the moment this year. And if you do like his wines and do love it, I think he's running a weekly Magnum giveaway competition, and you can draw on them. And if he likes it, you'll win a Magnum. But what I can tell you is, like, disputation or not over the term orange, his wines are very, very good.
Yeah. And, I understand. I mean, we need to be level-headed about this and make sure we don't lose, good winemakers and that sort of thing. But it has happened in the past where we've been at restaurants together in town, you and me, and you've asked for an orange wine, and I've asked for a Pinot from Orange, which in my mind was a Pinot Noir from the region of Orange, and you wanted something weird. And you got some bizarre thing, and then I got a skin contact Pinot Gris from somewhere that wasn't in New South Wales. So yeah, I mean, I understand it, but yeah. So I'm just going to drink orange, and we mean that in both senses of the word.
Yeah, drink from both of the places, really. I think
Whether
both of them make very good wines.
I put and amber in brackets there.
And amber.
Somehow I don't think this is going to win me a free Magnum this week in the Instagram competition. But you know,
who has done a live chat with a bottle of Tony's wine and drawn on it?
Yeah.
Live.
And we loved it so much that we drank it before we even got here.
Yeah, exactly. But so I thought that was nice. I mean, like, yeah, there's obviously like all sorts of legislation in Australian wine and all the rest. But I just think we're lucky to have these wines in front of us at certain times and be able to drink them. Yeah.
Yeah. I like this.
But yeah, this is cool.
I like this.
Yeah, I think it's really fun. It's
Big fan of this sort of carry on. I can get behind this.
Yeah.
And you know, there is a point for my taste buds and my love of wine where it goes a little bit too far, and the craziest of craziest I can appreciate when there's really good winemaking involved, but I'm, you know, put my hand up and say, actually, I'm going to step back. That's not really what I'm looking for in this wine. So, you know, this stuff, like the last like 3 or 4 003s that I've been, you know, really involved in, not in making, but as a drinker, I can really get behind. I reckon this is another one.
Well, and I think that is kind of exactly what the whole industry has seen, of maybe this shock kind of bang of the popularity of orange wines and every man and their dog going out trying to make one, and maybe not having the experience of your Sasa Radicons or your Graveners of the world that have been doing it for decades and decades, and then now it's kind of coming back to, like, I think, you know, people for me always came forward and said, oh, natural wine's a phase. It's always like, it's going to be a phase, it's going to die out, it's going to go back to normal. But I don't think that...
Normal.
Yeah. I don't think that it's going to... I don't think it was a phase as such. I think there was definitely a spike in popularity, and a lot of people, you know, tried to try their hand at natural wine, and now I think there's such a strong community based around it that there's, you know, like a process into, you know... introducing yourself as a natural winemaker to the market, much like an amber winemaker or an orange winemaker. I think that, like, if it's not good, now we are, as wine consumers, smart enough to know when it's not good.
Yeah, look, I think, like, we're now 26 episodes in, and every second episode we have this discussion, and we always say we're going to dedicate a whole episode to it, because I feel like sometimes we're just, like, this conversation, what we've been going for, talking about 20 minutes on this wine, we are not even scratching the surface. We're just looking at the surface at this point about, you know, this style of winemaking, where it's come from, and it's come from about, you know, 2,000 years of winemaking. It's not a new thing at all. But, you know, I do totally get the fact and understand that it needs a bit of clarification in 2020 and 2021, and, you know, people who walk into a wine bar, you know, expecting or a bottle store or anywhere, and knowing what they're going to get. So I understand that has a bit of resonance. So we need to promise that we will actually do, and we'll say this one is a bonus episode, and it's just going to be on natural wine, and we're going to an orange and all that sort of shit, and we'll, you know, drill down and make it happen. Just as we're about to be kicked off the Instagram, we will come back up.
We'll be straight back up.
We'll come straight back up.
But yeah, obviously mini rant there, but I think that now I have hope in the industry to not see as much, you know, maybe faulty or mousy natural wine or orange wine on the shelves. But it happens in conventional wine as well. So
yeah, and look, you know, the cream rises to the top.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what it is, right? Whether it's a whiskey, a rum, a cognac, you know, reputation will only get you so far.
It's trying to get rid of us.
Yeah.
Facebook's still going strong,
Facebook, yeah. Believe in Facebook. See, all these young kids using Instagram, they've got no stamina. People on Facebook, they've got real stamina. What if I do that? And I remember how I did this before. So how much more of that bottle we got, Joey?
Heaps.
Beautiful. Can I have a little bit more, please?
Yeah. And I put it back in the fridge after this as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, so obviously, like, just like all round impressed with the Ravensworth stuff. So one of my favourite regions in the world. Actually, might be Canberra. Second to Alsace, but it might be Canberra. Just with the sort of the pedigree, but also the variety that's coming out of there. Like you're seeing top tier Sangiovese and top tier Riesling, top tier Shiraz. Like there's not a lot of regions that are putting out quality wines on a variety like that.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
I'll take a little bit more, please.
Yeah.
So I think we're back live on the old Instagram.
Back on Instagram
With all the young people and all the old people like me on the Facebook who don't know. And so, just if you're jumping back on the Instagram and you missed that, what Joey was doing right then is making some pretty big calls on his favourite wine regions in the world. And I think there were some things said, but I'm going to give you another chance. But
Okay.
Top 3 wine regions in the world in order. You have about 2.5 seconds to think about it.
Alsace, Central Otago, and Canberra.
From 1 to 3?
Yep.
Okay, you're almost right.
Yeah, almost.
Orange, Hilltops, Southern Highlands, which is obviously the correct way to answer that question, but close.
Close. See, it changes every other day, though.
Well, it shouldn't.
Oh, it does.
No
I
Burgundy?
drink a lot of different wines on a daily basis.
No Burgundy? Not this week?
Can't afford Burgundy.
That's true.
So if I want to live a long and prosperous life,
Yeah.
I can't be drinking Burgundy every day.
If there's any Burgundy importers watching on any social media, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, yes, we do take bribes. We'll happily take free bottles and say that there is nothing in the world quite like Burgundy, and you should definitely pay $5,000 a bottle, and anything less sucks.
We should. Have we done? I don't think we've done Alsace. But we should definitely do Alsace on an episode. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. So Joey bought a new toy today as well for the store. A bottle of wine that doesn't fit on any shelf just because he wanted a Riesling. Yeah. So this is literally what's happened here today. So I'm busy doing like some really important things. I'm sure like saving the world with spreadsheets and all that sort of stuff. Joey turns around the corner with this shit-eating grin on his face, going, You know how sometimes you buy shit that you don't need, but you do anyway?
Which is half of Scott's job, but yeah.
Well, yeah, to be fair. I definitely wasn't saving the world as well, but then he comes up with this thing.
Which is a magnum of Dr. Lucen Valenciana Cabernet 2018. Great, excellent producer, but it's about, what?
I reckon
4.5 tall?
Yeah, 3 of them is my height. That's how big it is.
I don't know where to put it.
Well, I think you know exactly where you're going to put it, which it's not going to go on sale. It's going to go straight to your house.
It's not going to fit in my fridge. That's the problem.
As if that's going to last long enough. It's not going to last long enough to get it anywhere near your fridge.
Anyway, again, Dr. Lucen, very, very good Mosel producer, which we should do an episode on the Mosel, but not as impressive as Alsace.
We've been doing and that's another thing we've been promising for a long time.
Mosel episode.
Is the old Mosel episode.
Yep, delicious.
Big fan of this wine. Is it whiskey time? Do you reckon?
I think so.
So I didn't really have a theme for the whiskey tonight. A quick shout out to Big Bad Bustling Basamelia, Love Hilltops Cab Sav.
Which is good, because when you think Cab Sav, often you think big, like, flat, hot areas to try and get it that ripe and that rich. But I think the Hilltops do it very well, and Brand Game makes a very good one out of orange as well. Just to plug orange a little bit more, but
it is my favourite Brain Game, to be honest. Like most of
Cab Sav.
Most of my favourite orange producers' wines are the Pinots and the Chardonnays because I just fell in love with that style. But when I go to Brain Game, and it's great because you can walk from Brain Game to Colmar. Yeah. In fact, you probably shouldn't go from Ross Hill up the top of the hill.
You can walk to Brain Game from Colmar. Though.
Oh yeah. Start at Ross Hill because that's downhill.
Yeah.
If you go to Brain Game to Colmar and try and get up the hill, it takes a little bit longer. So go from Ross Hill to Colmar into Brain Game.
I actually jumped the fence and walked through the vineyard the last time I was there.
Yep.
If you walk down from Colmar, you kind of end up at the bottom of the Brain Game vineyard.
Yep.
You walk up through that.
Yeah. See, they let me in. Like the gate was open. I didn't have to jump anything at that point in time. Xena pops in, would love to see an episode on Reds just because Scotty hates them. I don't know where you're getting that from, mate. I think I have a reputation for after a big whiskey event everyone goes has a beer at the pub. I'm the only one that's drinking red wine.
Yeah, but I think we could throw some pretty challenging reds at you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We can do that. Anyway.
Things have thicker skins than Gamay and Pinot.
What? There's more red wine than Gamay and Pinot wine?
Do an episode on Napa Cabernet.
That's right. Now there's Pace as well.
There's Pace, yeah,
well,
yeah.
So yeah, I forgot there was that third red grape in the world. I can't reach some glasses, so if you mind grabbing some glasses for me. Now, had absolutely no idea what to pour tonight, spirits-wise, largely because no one has given us anything free this week. So I had no tastings that are in big format bottles that might have had some left. So I've gone back to a classic, and I did make the joke at the start that I put up something on my Facebook, my Instagram, saying, "Hey, what should we drink?" And I got a bunch of responses back, and I ignored all of them. Just as we were going live, someone came back with that, and I didn't see the whole message because it came down to the notification, said hand in hand. And whoever that was, I don't know which hand in hand you were doing or talking about, but we're definitely doing a hand in hand because I stumbled across what I think is the last bottle, well, it's my bottle in the oak barrel, there's none left, which is the hand in hand Ardmore release that we did a couple of years ago. It was December 2018. And Hand in Hand was a collaboration that we did with some of our best friends in whiskey around the country. Casa de Vinos / Liquor Library, which is the importer, Jose down in Melbourne. Whiskey and Ailment, which is Brook and Jules and Lachlan and a whole bunch of legends. I love all the whiskey bars in the country, but probably the best whiskey bar in the country for me. And then Helvetica Bar in Perth, which is probably the best whiskey bar west of somewhere quite east that I don't want to piss anyone off, but like love the team out there. So we all got together, and I think it basically came about, there was a few cask samples flying around the country, a Lefroy and an Ardmore, and went around and a few people tasted them, and it turned out that all four of us tended to fall in love with these same samples. So it's like, okay, we don't want to get in a bidding war for this shit. How do we do this? It was like, well, let's put it together. And we all got X amount of bottles each and had a lot of fun. So yeah, this was the Hand in Hand Ardmore. It's about a 9-year-old. It was bottled in 2018 and distilled in 2008, but the way the months lined up, it's technically a 9-year-old. And yeah, it was actually finished or spent a double maturation in ex-Lefroy cask.
Yeah, right.
And Ardmore, is a Highland whiskey, but a peated Highland whiskey. So, but just having that Lefroy cask give it an extra little kick, which sort of worked in the fact that the other Highland hand in hand was a Lefroy, and so we were like, okay, what do we do for labels? And okay, we thought, let's come with some sort of theme. And between the lot of us, we came up with this theme of steam-powered machines built in Scotland, which were, like steam is, boilers, you have to fire them with coal and you get smoke and things as, byproducts that were either destroyed or sunk in Australia.
Right.
So on the Lefroy, we had the SS Ferret, which was a steamship that was built in Glasgow, was nicked essentially by someone, a fraud who pretended to be an English lord, sat around the Mediterranean, got to South Africa, I think actually, then India, then ended up in Albany, and ended up in Melbourne until he was found out. Someone scrubbed back the new paint and found the word SS Ferret on it. It's called SS something else by them, and then eventually it was recommissioned to the Adelaide ports and was sunk just outside of Adelaide, carrying a whole bunch of beer, funnily enough, and the locals had a very good day picking up all the barrels of beer a long time ago. But the Ardmore is a Victorian class engine, which was actually the first engines, or the only engines commissioned after World War II by the Victorian Government Railways, VGR. And basically, it's what I love about these machines is we're coming to the end of the steam cycle, getting into diesel and then electric soon after. But it was right at the end. So these machines were prime, like the best steam trains, like they're the pinnacle of steam train engineering. Unfortunately, because of the times, they were scrapped pretty soon after. So I think it was 51 of them that were commissioned. It was eventually an American contract, but they couldn't fill it after the war, so it went to a Scottish firm in Glasgow again, all shipped over, and most of them were scrapped. I think there's two still alive. One is sort of sitting in a shed up on stilts. Another one is doing tourist rides around Victoria. But that's. And, I talked more about the trains than I did the whiskey. And if you go to the website, oakbarrel.com.au, and search this whiskey, you will find that there are no tasting notes and quite a long history of the SS Ferret and, the Victorian class trains because...
Well, there's almost like a train-like element to it.
And that's... I was like, this was... And I knew that at some point in my life, I was never going to be happy unless I put a steam train on a bottle of whiskey. So... very, very happy to hold this whiskey in my hands and have it here. So it came through Zanzibar, owned the cask, which is a German independent bottler and broker. And Scotch whiskey needs to be bottled in Scotland to be called Scotch whiskey. So they owned the cask, it was in Scotland, so we got like little samples. Then decided that it was something we wanted to do and got together. And actually the bottles were sent out essentially with... not with this label, just with like a little sticker that said, Ardmore, 2008,
I remember that.
ABV, whatever. Yeah. And then they arrived just before. It wasn't Whiskey Fair.
I don't think it was in time for Whiskey Fair.
Yeah, something. But poor Jose was sitting at the back, just labelling things up, taking the unofficial stickers off, putting the proper stickers on. But just a whiskey that I sort of saw sitting around at the back and thought, let's do this. Something I'm very, very proud of. The Lafroig was excellent, and I was very, very privileged, as I think we all were, to have Serge from Whiskey Fund review the Lafroig and write things like, Lafroig can take note on what these Australians are doing as independent bottlers. But for me, this one was always my favourite. It's got that like German, grunt to it. They love, when you see like sulphur in sherry casks, a lot of people recoil at the fact, let alone the smell, just the temptation or the hint that it might be in there. They recoil.
Yeah.
Germans love it. They just like big flavours. Let's go. So it's got that industrial sort of element to it, which I think is what you were alluding to before. And just a whiskey that I bloody love, and I've only got about 53% of the bottle left.
So just on that note of the fact that you got that quite impressive review that said that the world should take note of what the Australians are doing. In terms of independent, were you selecting casks across between the different people that were involved, like in terms of sampling?
I think the Serge's comment was more about this is an Australian bottling and people should be taking note of what the independents are doing with Lafroig, not necessarily an Australian market thing. Like people should be taking note of what these Australians are doing as an outlet for an independent bottling of Lafroig type thing. So it was more of a global question for that, but I just think it's.
But you guys were obviously very pleased with the cask you selected.
We loved it, and I guess the thing with it's cask strength. What are we at? 56.1. I was going to say 57.1, but glad I checked. 56.1, and it's unchill filtered. It's got floaties in it, and the Lafroig particularly had lots of floaties and characters in it. It is raw as possible, and that's just we were happy to do that whiskey. When if you are a distillery, funnily enough, Lafroig and Ardbeg are owned by the same company, Beam Suntory, CCA, Coca-Cola Amatil. So that's almost certainly why Lafroig cask ended up at Ardmore. But Ardmore has a identity. You buy an Ardmore Legacy, you know what you're meant to be getting. Not particularly as strong as the Lafroig, and I think that's why he made that comment. That Lafroig was like, this is raw, ugly, messy Lafroig, but it's kind of brilliant for what that is. I think, I think that's what he was sort of alluding to, and I think that's sort of our job. I remember the year before, we're going back a few years now, when we did the '97 Glenrothes and the '97 Ben Nevis. That was a reaction from probably me personally to this hunt for really clean sherry casks. We don't like young whiskey. We want like big, clean, and particularly in Australian whiskey, like big, sherry, Apera, Port, Tawny casks and all that sort of thing. And I was like, no, like they're great, but I want to taste whiskey. I want to taste grunt. So that Glenrothes '97 and the Ben Nevis '97 that we did as a two sister casks, we skimmed those casks and did 60 bottles of each. God knows where the rest of it ended up. They might have still stayed in, or they might have been bottled somewhere else in the world. But they were ugly.
Yeah.
And they were gritty. Those casks actually came off the Whiskey Agency, which is another German broker, whereas this came off Zanzibar. So I think, maybe I've just got an affinity with German independent bottlers.
Yeah.
They're as ugly as me.
It's sort of like, I think they're, and I'll probably almost go back on myself here in saying that, like, they're whiskies that I really like to drink are those, like, really tough, really textural, those, like, almost, like Lecheg like whiskies, like those really, like, gritty, dirty sort of styles. But then last week I really enjoyed the first one of Crafties, the Capti.
Yep.
Which was just beautiful and clean and soft and silky and all the rest. And maybe it's that kind of that note to drinking something you don't always drink, and you always get the shock when something is so pleasant and so delightful and just so, like, easygoing.
Yeah.
I feel like that's kind of my go-to in spirits, is I like the really rough, really textural expressions, and all of a sudden you get something that is just so unlike something you've tasted in a little while, and it really jumps out.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I just felt like there was a point in, sort of 3 or 4 years ago, particularly with the Australian whiskey market, and not necessarily the wider market, but that's sort of like 1% that were early adopters for Australian whiskey, and who were drinking more higher end and premium whiskies from around the world. Everything was about cleanliness, like how clean can it be, how perfect can it be. The first hint of sulphur, the first hint of new make spirit or heat or thing was like, written off. It's too hot. It's whatever. And I think that was my mindset at the moment, or at that time, was to sort of react to that and be like, no, like, these are, they weren't both 20-year-old whiskies. It was not 2017, so they were about 19, I think, but it was a 97 bottling. And I just thought, no, these are grunty, and grit is a very good word, what you just said then. Like, that was really just like, this was something I want to do, and it was a bit messy, and just like me, a bit rough around the edges, bit messy, bit of fun sometimes. But had a lot of time for it and loved them. And unfortunately, I have none of the Ben Nevis left anymore. I think that was my pick out of the two. There's a little bit of Glenrothes still sitting out the back for a rainy day when we get bored and need a reason to drink them. But again, this getting back to the Ardmore that we're drinking was just so great to have the oak barrel name alongside names like Helvetica and Whiskey and Almond, let alone to have the oak barrel name alongside names like Helvetica and Whiskey and Almond on whiskyfun.com. And Serge Valentin, which that was huge. I remember that morning actually waking up and being like, oh, that label looks like the one that we did. I mean, by the time the review came out, we'd already sold out of it completely. This is long gone, unfortunately. I don't know if Jose's in Casa de Vinos down in Port Melbourne's they got any more left, but definitely we're all out of it.
And I feel pretty confident in thinking that I was sat at Helvetica Bar at some point when these discussions were going back and forth, not quite knowing what was going on, but yeah.
Yes, no, you were.
I think I was.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah.
Shit, that's on.
So I remember getting the text messages and just thinking like, oh yeah, I've heard of that bar before. I think I'm outside it actually.
Yeah. But yeah.
Awesome.
A lot of fun.
Like it. Yeah.
Zeno has commented in, and we do like a black hole of going proper sidetrack on things.
First you can't tell.
Yeah. I think I know the train you're talking about, and is this about this in Victoria? Is it red and black? And yes, it is at the moment. They're painting it in jet black colour, but the smoke deflectors, which is the two bits that sit on the side, again to deflect smoke away from the driver cabins, are painted in bright, almost blood red.
Let's run its course for a little bit
at the moment. But yeah, I don't know what Joey's doing. He's run away to hopefully find me some sort of more booze to drink there at some point. But I want to say quick g'day to everyone who is on the Instagram. Well, I've done it as well. Joey, I did the same thing you did. But waving to everyone there. And yeah, Instagram. It's for young people. It's not for me. But I do hope we're all doing pretty well out there at the moment. It's been a a daiquiri a year. How much whiskey do I need to order to get a Blackgate mug? Quite a bit actually, because I don't know how I got one. This one's sitting around for a long time, and it's been my favourite for a while. We probably need to ask Brian and Janice from the Blackgate Distillery out of Mandurin exactly what their mug status is like. I believe you can probably buy them off their website at the moment. We can probably just do a check on that. But speaking of like the regional areas and that sort of thing, I want to do another quick shout out to someone who I know was listening in earlier tonight. I don't know if she's still around, but Kathleen Davies. And I mentioned a little bit earlier, if you weren't around, I did a bit of a interview with a few producers out in Timboon for something that the Victorian regional communities are working on to try and get people coming back. And Kathleen Davies runs a company called Nip of Courage, and probably, rightly considered the fairy godmother of the Australian spirits industry. And so she looks after a lot of Australian spirits producers in whiskey and gin and vodka and a whole bunch of different things, and is incredibly passionate. But also her business is very much relying upon the independents, whether that be small bars, retailers, all that sort of stuff. So she's taken quite a bit of a hit in the past couple of months because the places she used to sell to don't always exist anymore. So I reached out to her in the idea of getting onto Josh Walker at Timboon and saying, g'day, can we hopefully move some booze this way if we do a bit of a chat, whatever. And she insisted that Josh Walker take and the Timboon Distillery take the full margin of the profits there, which was quite remarkable. Someone who I know is working